What is going on, guys? Justin Williams here with Access Off Grid, and today I want to talk to you a little bit more about buying land and where to look for land and things to consider. I'm actually out on my property today. As you can see, I'm in the little bit wooded area, and this right here, you can't quite see because of these little trees, but it's a little trail that runs up along the creek and back into my property. And so I love this little trail that allows me to transport and move around the property pretty quickly. You know, once we get ATVs or any type of off-road vehicles, be able to drive it, and so that's always a plus as well. And that is important for security purposes. And so that's something I want to talk about in future videos. It won't be today, it'll be on future videos, so I encourage you guys to check those out as well. And best way to do that is to subscribe, hit the bell for the notification button, and you'll get updates on future videos. But today, I'm checking my no trespassing signs. I put those out the other day, and I talked to a gentleman the last week. He was actually right on our property, and he had been hunting for arrowheads because we are on the Sac and Osage Indians territories at one point in time. And so he found a Dalton arrowhead, which is pretty awesome that was on my property. But I wish it was me who found it. But props to him. But with that thought process, it makes me realize that there are just random people all the time that will be coming on your property if you don't have it posted. And so right now it's hunting season still. I'm not living out here, so I'm not as concerned. But I know come February, March, when we start moving out here, I want to make sure everything is posted. All right, so enough about that. That's the main reason we're here today, but I got this video going to talk to you about where to look for land. And so the way we found property, I'm going to save for last and talk to you about a few of the others to get you started. The first one are websites. There are things like LandWatch. LandWatch is great. It allows you to see property all over the country, from North Carolina and South Carolina all the way to California. You're going to be able to, from coast to coast, be able to find property on things like LandWatch. You also have different websites for each state, like our state in Missouri and Arkansas and the Ozarks area has what's called homestead crossings. So you got websites like that for your local states. You need to keep those in mind as well. Then I wrote a list of Instant Acres is another excellent one that you can find all kinds of properties. Instant Acres, and then you got what's called Land Flip. You guys may not be familiar with that one. It's not as popular as the others, but there's definitely some good properties on landflip.com as well. So keep those websites in mind. There's also, you got Mossy Oak Properties. They're kind of selling more hunting properties, but you might find some good deals. And the key to that is you got to ask yourself, am I financially able to get a loan? Banks do not want a loan on raw land. So you're either going to have to buy your property with a house already on it, or you're going to need about 20% to put down. 20%. That is a lot of stinking money, and we did not have 20% to put down on our property. Heck, I didn't have $1 to put down on my property, to be honest with you. It was something I felt God leading me to do, and I didn't have a clue how I was going to accomplish it. So you got websites. Get online. It's the easiest way. Usually they have tons of pictures, and you don't have to focus on being on site at every one of the properties. But before you buy, I've heard of guys that have literally bought property offline, traveled across the country, and turned out across the street was a landfill. And so you need to see your property, get boots on the ground before you buy some property. So those are options for websites. Then you have local resources like newspapers and realtors. And even these realtors, though, they mostly are going to be working with banks, but occasionally they will do owner financing as well. And so if you don't have 20% down or your credit is shot, you need to consider owner financing. That's the way to go. And if you find a good one, you can still get a percent rate low. So we were looking at some, and they wanted 12 to 15% interest rate, annual APR on the owner finance. And we were like, that's insane. That's a crazy high interest rate. But we found a guy who's going to do it for 5.5%, 6%. And that's amazing. That is killer interest rate on owner finance. But so you got local resources, newspapers. Just pull up in a newspaper. You'd be amazed, especially older folks. they're trying to sell off some land, getting ready to retire. They're not tech savvy. They're posting their property in the newspaper ads. So that's something you need to be looking at. And then you got the option like we did. And this is, it's kind of got to be a God thing too. So what I did is I began to network and reach out to other homesteaders and other people living off grid, guys that had YouTube channels or had Facebook pages where they were constantly posting about their adventures and their off-grid experiences or the homesteading experiences. And I reached out to them and just started knocking on doors, connecting to them, talking to them about my vision and what God was doing in my life and the direction we were going. And through those connections, they were able to guide us and lead us to an individual who sold property, but he didn't really post it, and he just had it available, and he would finance it as people needed it. He wasn't highly pursuing it. And so we talked to him, we came out, we saw the property. It was perfect. It was exactly what we were looking for the most part. If you missed that, episode 3, we talked about everything we were looking for in our property. So I'm not going to get into that. I want you to go back and watch episode 3 if you missed it, and see all the things that we were considering when buying property. But it had everything. And then he talked to us about buying the property, and we were just looking. We had no intentions of buying it because our pocketbook was zilch. I just left one of the largest survival schools in the nation. I made excellent money, thank goodness, and I felt God leading me elsewhere. I felt God calling me to start a ministry and outreach, and it just did not, it wasn't an equally yoked thing. It just wasn't cool that I was trying to do this ministry on the side and the company was trying to grow. And I got mad respect for them as well. I get it. But God was leading me elsewhere, different direction. So I got to respect that. And so I left this great paying job. And so I didn't have a dollar to my name to put down on this property, really. My savings was being ate up from not having a salary anymore. And I'm being transparent. That's what my life is about. I want to lead through transparency and authenticity. So you're just going to get the raw truth. And so he's like, so when do you want to move on it? And I was like, well, we don't have any money to put down. And he's like, well, when can you pay some money? And I was like, I don't know. And then he's like, how much money you got in your pocket? And it was like, and in my mind, I'm thinking 0. But, I didn't want to say that. And so I was like, I think I could come up with $500. And I was like, I'll pawn everything I got if I had to. And sure enough, he's like, okay, we'll make it happen, $500. And he just worked an amazing deal on us. And it was a God thing. He blessed us so much through this experience and through this property. And I can't wait to see what happens because I am loving it. I'm sitting on a large stump from this tree, and man, I'm just digging it. You can probably hear a dump truck in the background, but I've been out here for hours, and that's the first vehicle I've heard. So you can hear the birds. It's just so peaceful. I'm so blessed. All right, this video's gone a lot longer than I ever intended. So those are some tips and tricks on where to look for land, and hopefully you guys, you got to pray about it. That is so important. Do not buy property until you've prayed about it, because I bought a car one time and I thought it was such a great deal. I just bought it. I didn't pray about it, and that car was a money pit. And so your property could be the same way. So keep those things in mind. I'd love to have you guys out. We're going to do some survival wilderness training, some herbalism in the spring. We're going to be kicking off preparedness training and sustainability. There's going to be all kinds of awesome stuff coming out on this property. I'd love to have you out. My classes are ridiculously cheap because I'm not about making a bunch of money. I just want to be able to cover some of my expenses and my costs and pour into people so that they can grow and develop their skills. So anyways, I'm going to get up and finish scouting out my property and doing some security perimeter checks. That's going to be on future upcoming videos, so you don't want to miss it. Until next time, I encourage you guys to be sure to take your training to the next level and get out in the woods. So peace out. Be sure to share, subscribe, stay tuned.